What if your only friend was a corpse from centuries ago? And what if that corpse was the only thing standing between you and a gruesome murder charge? My Darling Dreadful Thing by Johanna van Veen. Set in the eerie backdrop of early 1950s Netherlands, My Darling Dreadful Thing is a gothic horror novel that tells the story of Roos Beckman, a young woman with a spectral companion named Ruth. Only Roos can see Ruth, a grotesque, centuries-old bog body who is fiercely protective of her. Their peculiar bond, formed after a childhood filled with trauma, abuse, and being forced by her mama to participate in fraudulent seances for profit. The plot thickens when a wealthy widow, Agnes Knoop, attends one of these seances and, taken by Roos, invites her to live at her crumbling estate, the Rosentine. Roos jumps at the chance to escape her abusive life, but soon finds herself embroiled in a sinister mystery. As an undeniable sapphic attraction grows between Roos and Agnes, a murder occurs at the manor. With a history of hysterics and her strange claims about a spirit culprit, Roos is the obvious suspect. The narrative is masterfully told through a dual perspective. Roos's first-person account of the events at Rosentine, and the transcripts of her interviews with a psychiatrist, Dr. Montague, who is tasked with determining her sanity before her trial. This structure creates a thrilling sense of unreliability, leaving the reader to question what is real and what is a product of Roos's deeply traumatized mind. My Darling Dreadful Thing is not a simple ghost story. It's a genre-bending work that marries the macabre with poignant themes of love, trauma, and identity. Here's what makes it a standout transformational work. A modern Gothic sensibility. While deeply influenced by classics like Edgar Allan Poe and Guillermo del Toro's Crimson Peak, the novel expertly subverts and refreshes traditional Gothic tropes. The crumbling manor, secrets, and creeping dread are all present, but they are used as exploration devices to instill the overall ambience, normalizing the conditions with which Roos sees the world around her. A gross and tender romance. The relationship between Roos and Agnes is a central pillar of the story. Readers have noted that it is both lovely and gentle, while also being damned from the beginning. This blend of beautiful, budding romance with a backdrop of sickness, death, and decay is a key distinguishing feature. The unreliable narrator. The use of Roos's narrative alongside the psychiatrist's notes is a sophisticated literary device that elevates the horror. Is Ruth a genuine spirit companion, or a hallucination born of trauma? The book never gives a definitive answer, forcing the reader to constantly second-guess Roos's perspective and creating a unique psychological tension. High-concept horror. The core idea of a spirit companion who is a centuries-old corpse is a uniquely and viscerally unsettling concept. The book's use of body horror and its exploration of themes like cannibalism are both disturbing and memorable. Thematically rich. Beyond the horror, the novel is a powerful exploration of abuse, mental illness, homophobia, and the desperate human need to be loved and to belong. It tackles these heavy topics with a sensitive yet unflinching hand. The reception for My Darling Dreadful Thing has been overwhelmingly positive, with readers and critics praising its unique approach to the Gothic genre. Key highlights from reviews include critical acclaim. The book has been lauded for its poetic prose and lush language, with critics noting its ability to be both tender and beautiful whilst being grim. It was also a nominee for a Bram Stoker Award. Strong characterization. Roos is consistently described as a fascinating and deeply empathetic protagonist. Readers found themselves wholeheartedly cheering for her, regardless of whether she was mentally ill, naive, or in love. Her relationship with Ruth is also noted as complex and a compelling one. Praise for pacing and plot. Many reviewers appreciate that, unlike some slow burn Gothic novels, this one wastes no time getting to the gritty, creepy, and bloody. The inclusion of a psychiatrist notes was specifically mentioned as a device that created intrigue and tension, effectively propelling the plot forward. A must read for genre fans. The book was widely recommended for fans of Gothic horror and psychological thrillers. It is often described as a love letter to the Gothic and a spine tingling sapphic tale that will not be forgotten. My personal review is as follows. The details, both introspective and pleasantly articulated, pulled me into this story immediately. The author didn't hesitate to present the unusual circumstances of the main character straight away, thereby giving her depth from the outset. Changes in perspective, with forward jumping glimpses into consequences, offered another layer toward the story's climax. I usually delve into the realms of science fiction or fantasy with a splash of horror now and then, so this wasn't precisely outside my purview, but I was surprised at how quickly I became engrossed in this book. I very highly recommend My Darling Dreadful Thing to anyone looking for a good read and or listen. And then for my personal take on My Darling Dreadful Thing, I think if I had to choose one word immediately, it would be enraptured. It forced me to think about things almost immediately. Through the devices that the author used, specifically the settings, there's a feeling of foreboding or dread in every scene. Whether it's Mama's house, the Rosentine, even the psychiatrist's office, and the way that the notes are taken, the way that the conversation develops between Roos and the psychiatrist, it has a tension to it that makes you want to side with Roos, but also you can see how she convinces the psychiatrist that perhaps she isn't hallucinating anything. I want to try and tackle these without spoiling anything, so apologies for perhaps not being as articulate as I'd like to be. As I said, the settings themselves really instill that sense of dread, but I think what's most important is it normalizes it right away, so it becomes a part of the story that you expect from beginning to end. A lot of the other aspects of it, Ruth is an awesome character. This is Roos's companion. Yeah, here again, I'm run into that I don't want to spoil it for you thing, but there are more of them. The companions, I mean. And these aren't it's not dogs and cats. It's deceased people, so undead, essentially. But I'll leave that for you to explore. Yeah, for me it kept me on task, and I did not put this book down after. Okay, so I listened to it through Audible, which was amazing. I'll put the narrator's name up here because she did an amazing job of capturing the voices. I believe made the characters believable, and it was because of the Audible version, the narration, that I purchased the book, and I didn't put it down. I began and ended it in the same sitting. Yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the introduction video, but this was not normally something that I would have chosen. It was suggested for me on Audible, and I'm glad that it was. Now, I'm usually looking for Star Wars novels or some of the old X-Files entries. And although not related to Star Wars whatsoever, this book was, well, in essence, kind of like an X-Files episode, a very long one, but it's well worth your time. I would highly recommend this to anybody that's looking for something macabre and different. And that's really what this channel is all about, is seeking out those transformational works. And for me, this is one of them. I mean, we all have an understanding of the masters in the horror genre. People that have been writing these stories for decades. So really what we're trying to seek is not so much different, but something that takes a genre that lots of people really do enjoy and love and transform them into something else. And this book does that. Though I would highly recommend picking it up. The audible version, like I said, through the narration is amazing. Just so that everybody knows, these are unpaid endorsements. So, I mean, they're true from the heart. Yeah, I'm not pushing you to Audible for any other reason than to enjoy the narration itself, or to even purchase the book. I mean, yes, you're supporting an author's initial debut, specifically in this one, but primarily throughout this channel, and that's really what I'm trying to push. So there aren't, I mean, we're not talking about paid endorsements by any means, and the same will hold true for Kindle Unlimited. I don't get anything for suggesting that people subscribe to it, only that if you're an avid reader, that is an amazing avenue to look into. But yeah, I was blown away by this novel, and I hope you are too. And then get ready for the next episode, because we're going from a Gothic manor to the deepest, darkest hills of Appalachia. This is a story about a curse that spans centuries, a college dorm room that shouldn't exist, and the terrifying price of faith corrupted. We're diving into the first book in the Psalms of the Terror series, The Vladian Flesh by Joshua Bish. So we'll continue working on formatting, presenting these in a maybe spookier way. But until then, as I said in the introduction, this is where I do my writing. This is our creative room, so that's what we're doing in it. But if these are in discussions that you do enjoy, if this was informative, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We're starting from bare bones here, so share it with people that may enjoy this as well. And until next time, thank you.